Welcome to a new vlog and trip report. Today we're traveling with a very special train. We're traveling with the CRRC Panda of Westbahn, which is a Chinese train, and we're going from Vienna Westbahnhof Western Station to Salzburg. Here on the map you can see our route, and we are taking a look at the animation. We can take a closer look at the route. We are starting at Vienna Westbahnhof Western Station, and then we're continuing via Vienna Hütteldorf, St. Pölten, Amstetten, Linz, Wels, Adnang-Puchheim and Vöcklerbruck to Salzburg using the Westbahn, the Western Railway. On this railway line, the Westbahn is usually using the Stadler Kiss, but since last year they are also using the CRRC Panda, which is a train by the Chinese manufacturer CRRC China Railway Rolling Stock Corporation. They have chartered 4 trains for 10 years with the option to buy them afterwards. Of course, those trains are highly controversial and there were a lot of discussions about this train, and we will take a closer look at them in this video. As you have seen in this animation, we are starting at Vienna Westbahnhof Western Station, which is where I stayed overnight in the Motel 1 hotel. Originally my train was supposed to leave at 5:38 in the morning, but a few days earlier I got an information that my train is now operated with a different type of train, with the Stadler Kiss, which I've already made a video about just a couple of weeks ago. So I cancelled the ticket and booked a new one for the 8:38 train, which was now supposed to be operated by the CRRC Panda, which was anyway better for me, so I could get some more sleep and could enjoy breakfast at the hotel. Here we can see the beautiful station Westbahnhof. It's a very nice station to travel from. And here we can see the train on the left side, the CRRC Panda of Westbahn. To be honest, it's not the most beautiful train. It has a very distinctive and, in my opinion, not very beautiful look. So at least when you take a look at the front, from the side it looks almost identical to the Stadler Kiss. And now we're taking a look at the interior of the train. Here on the lower deck we have the comfort class and a 2+2 configuration, and on the upper deck of the first car we have the first class. So the interior looks almost identical to the Stadler Kiss. We have first class, standard class and comfort class, with first class being the only one with a 2+1 configuration. This train can be seen as a cooperation between European and Chinese manufacturers, as many parts of the train are made in Europe. For example, this train has exactly the same seats like the Stadler Kiss. Those seats are very nice. They come with big sturdy tables you can work on, movable armrests, 3 different types of power sockets, reading lights. Of course the seat is also adjustable, and the seat itself also is quite comfortable. There are sun blinds, so this train has everything that a Stadler Kiss would also have. The only downside that I can find here on the upper deck are the windows, because they look a bit wavy and they have some viewing disruptions, especially when you look at an angle on them. So that's the only thing I found. Otherwise, the interior is very nice. What I really like are the seat reservation monitors, as they are directly linked to the phone of the conductor and they can make changes on the spot. Here in this video you could see a bit better how wavy the window actually is. That's of course only on the upper deck with the curved windows, and when it comes to the interior, this was the only negative thing I found about the train. Of course this train is very controversial. We will talk about this a little bit later in the video, but in this video we are focusing more on the train itself. Here you can see that the seats are also a bit shaky, but that's probably not because of the train, but because this type of seat is only fixed on one side and it's hanging on the other side, and the seat in front of me was empty, so it was pretty light. So when there are some tiny movements in the train, it automatically starts shaking. The seat that I was sitting on, so with some weight on it, was perfectly fine, not moving a millimeter, so seat comfort is also very good. In the meantime, we have left the Westbahnhof. We had the additional stop in Vienna Hütteldorf, and now we're going into the Vienna Forest Tunnel, Wienerwald Tunnel, and then we're continuing on in the direction of Linz and Salzburg. We've already seen this railway line, and it's not the most spectacular one, as there are a lot of noise barriers, so there are not many views. But now we can listen to the sound of the CRRC Panda going at full speed of 200 km/h. So, as you can hear, the train sounds fine. It's not louder than any European train, so also the ride comfort is very good, which is pretty surprising, especially when you consider that you are automatically looking differently at a Chinese train. You're a bit more critic, you're rather looking for errors, but to be honest, the train seems to be very, very good, so there are not many things I can complain about. Even with taking a closer look at it than at European trains, there are not many things I can complain about, so I was surprised in a positive way by the train. The quality seems to be very good, and if I'm very honest, I think a passenger who's not interested in trains would probably not even realize that he's sitting in a Chinese train, as there are not many differences. As I said, it is highly controversial that Westbahn ordered these trains. Of course, a lot of politicians are complaining that you should not order trains by a state-subsidized company in China, and instead should order in the European Union or in Europe, as of course European train manufacturers cannot compete with the prices from China. But on the other hand, you also have to keep in mind that all European train manufacturers have a lot of orders, and it would have taken much longer to get a train from them than ordering them with a CRRC. They could deliver the trains much faster, and even though it took a while to get them registered and permitted in Europe, it was still faster than ordering and waiting for a European train. So I can understand why the Westbahn went for this option. By the way, the service of course on board was amazing as always in first class with Westbahn. There was a oshibori towel, there was a cookie and water delivered to my place even before we left the station in Vienna by a very kind train conductor, so that was amazing. Here we are in Amstetten and we can take a look at the departure there. Unfortunately, I started recording a bit too late, but still take a look at the acceleration of the train. The acceleration of the train is astonishing. It's a very, very fast train, which of course is good. If the train might be delayed, you can catch up with delays easier. And also you heard the sound of the train when the train is accelerating. There's not too much of a distinctive noise, but you hear an electric noise. That's quite distinctive for this train, but otherwise it's not very loud, you have not many noises, so also this is quite good and nice. In a few seconds we will reach the next station. Of course in this video I'm not talking too much about the railway line itself, as we have seen it in other videos, but here we are at Linz main station, and we're then continuing on, have a few more stops, and when we are leaving the station of Wels, we can listen to the sound of the train once again, hearing the complete sound from starting up to accelerating until reaching full speed. So now it's time to listen to the sound of the CRRC Panda once again. So here we heard the typical sound. I think you also clearly heard the electrical noise that I was talking about, but in general, the train is not very noisy, it's comfortable, it has all the features that other trains do have as well. The only downside I can find are the wavy windows, but I've also seen this in European trains, so to be honest, it's a quite good train with a good quality. And to be very honest, if I would have boarded this train without knowing it's coming from China, I probably wouldn't have assumed it, so the quality of the train seems to be very good. Of course, as I said, it's very controversial, but you also have to bear in mind this train got a lot of attention and there were a lot of discussions about it, but it's by far not the first train of CRRC or a Chinese company in Europe. For example, Deutsche Bahn of Germany ordered 4 shunter locomotives. Also Rail Cargo Hungary ordered some shunter locomotives by them earlier. There are also some trains in the Czech Republic. They were ordered by Leo Express already back in September 2016. They are now used by RegioJet. And there are also metro trains in Porto in Portugal that were also manufactured by CRRC. So there are quite a few trains of them already, also before the trains of the Westbahn. Only the trains of Westbahn got a bit more attention. But with them it's working quite well. The trains seem to be reliable, they are comfortable and nice. And the only thing that brands them Chinese for me is their a little bit strange look, but that's not a problem. Of course, that's also personal taste. At the moment those trains are used on the Westbahn between Vienna and Salzburg. That's happening since November 2025, and in December 2026 they are supposed to move on a new line from Vienna to Budapest in Hungary. In the meantime, we are approaching the station of Salzburg main station, where a nice and comfortable train ride is coming to an end. It was a very interesting train ride with an interesting train, of course. We arrived perfectly on time here in Salzburg, and here I'm now leaving the train. Train ride is coming to an end, and also the video is coming to an end. And in the next video we are traveling with a regular European train made by Stadler again. Here you can see when this video will be uploaded, and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video then.